if you're in pain, I want to help you with one of the most important concepts about pain to aid in your recovery. Firstly, I want to acknowledge you as the expert of your own pain experience. You see, we all have constructed our understanding of pain throughout our lives as we experience painful things. So, in one sense, you are the expert in your own pain situation and your own unique circumstances. I want to acknowledge that. But today I will probably challenge some of your understanding of pain, and I'll give you the ability to interact with these new theories and test them through little experiments to help you to interact with the knowledge and grow deeper in your understanding around pain. The key concept that we will cover in this presentation is that pain is protective. You see, pain teaches us not to scratch our eyes or to bite our tongues as we are babies. It teaches us not to touch that hot object or to do a drop off on an old crappy mountain bike. In this presentation, we will look at the protective nature of pain. We will look at this concept about the pain system being like an alarm system. We'll look at the buffer between the onset of pain and actual bodily damage, and we'll look at how this buffer can be sensitized and grow to protect us or to help us aid in recovery, and how this buffer can also be sometimes unhelpful. When the buffer grows, this concept is called sensitization. And lastly, we will look at how these concepts can help you and aid you in your recovery journey from pain. The pain system is kind of like an alarm system, and any good alarm system protects us from threat or danger. For example, a fire. In a fire alarm detects smoke, and this sets off the alarm to allow us to jump up out of bed and to leave the house immediately so that we are not burnt. The pain system is like this, but it is a little more complex. It has multiple different stimuli that it senses, including chemical, thermal, and mechanical. It also has visual perception of what's going on in front of you. And all of these information are sent up to the brain, and the brain then analyzes all of this input. And if it thinks that the body needs protecting or there is danger, it will send an output. And many times that output is pain. Pain is protective and makes us do protective behaviors to help keep us safe. For instance, you might brace your body, or you might immediately take weight off one limb and put it onto another limb. Or in this situation, you might jump out of bed and leave the house immediately. Like every good alarm system, the pain system often detects threat and sends pain as a signal before there is actually any bodily damage. There's a buffer between the onset of pain and actual bodily damage. This buffer is useful. I mean, it wouldn't be much good if your house was up in flames and you were trapped in a room that was ablaze before your alarm went off. That wouldn't be very helpful. So the body has this buffer system between the onset of pain and actual tissue or bodily damage. So to describe this, I want to do two experiments with you. The first experiment is with a candle. So what I want you to do is to go ahead and light a candle. Now, first things first, safety. If you don't have sensation in your hands, please do not do this at all. If your sensation is intact and you have good sensation, please do this safely and slowly as instructed. And all risk is on you. I take no responsibility for any risk. Now, what I want you to do is you're going to pop your finger above the candle. And then you're going to slowly move your finger closer to the candle. Now, eventually you start to feel a warm sensation, and then eventually you start to feel pain. And as soon as you feel pain, I want you to move your hand away. So, have you done any harm to your finger? No, of course not. Neither have I. Now, the reason being is because pain is protective. We got pain, but there was no damage done to our finger. The second experiment that I want to do with you is a lot safer than this, and everyone can do this one. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab your index finger, and I want you to slowly, keyword slowly, pull your finger back until you feel pain. As soon as you feel pain, I want you to stop like a reasonable person. So what you'll notice, again, you haven't done any damage to your finger. So pain is protective. There's a buffer between pain and actual bodily damage. In the pain system, unlike in the alarm system, this buffer is constantly changing and evolving over time. One example of this is when you roll your ankle. The inflammatory response kicks in to begin healing. And one of the things that this does is it provides this increased buffer to promote healing so that we stay away from the ankle, that we take weight off the ankle to allow it to heal. This happens through what we call the inflammatory soup coming into the joint to create healing, to begin the healing process. And what it does is it actually sensitizes the nervous system or the nerves so that they begin to send more signals of danger and threat to the brain. This is a phenomena called sensitization. You may have experienced this firsthand. You know when an injury hurts more in the 24-48 hours after the injury than when it actually occurred? This is a strange thing, right? But this is due to sensitization. One example of this, and it's perfect for the sunny Gold Coast, is sunburn. Now, oftentimes when you're laying in the sun, at least in my experience, you don't feel or notice that you're burning, especially if there's a nice breeze. And it's not until hours later when you're in the shower and you have the shower at your normal preferred set temperature and you start to feel this stinging on your shoulders and on your back as the water hits your back. This is due to this sensitization. In most circumstances, this buffer that has grown over time to allow the body to heal comes back to its normal set point as the body heals and inflammation leaves that area. But sadly, in some situations and in some cases, this buffer can remain sensitized or more sensitive. And this is a nuanced conversation. It often occurs in people with persistent pain. There's sometimes both a bodily issue or a tissue issue that's going on, and also this sensitivity or this sensitized system rather than simply one or the other. But we don't have time for that in this presentation. I want to quickly touch on and not do justice at all to why this is so important for you. Well, firstly, you can know that whenever you're feeling pain, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are doing damage. And if you've struggled with pain for a long period of time, it is actually unlikely that you're doing damage because you probably have a little bit more of a sensitized pain system, which is protective and grows that protective buffer even more. I started this presentation saying that we were going to introduce a concept that was going to be helpful in aiding your recovery from pain. That pain is a protective mechanism. We've looked at how this occurs, how it's like an alarm system, how we have this buffer between pain and actual bodily damage, how this can grow and change over time, and unfortunately, in some cases, how this buffer can stay larger than it needs to be in this process called sensitization. I hope this helps you to differentiate between pain and actual bodily damage, knowing that perhaps your body is maybe a little bit overprotective, and that to teach the system to be less protective, we actually need to move into those movements that cause us a little bit of pain. I hope this was helpful for you, and I wish you all the best in reclaiming what pain has taken from you.